Hey everyone, David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, coming at you from the Artisan/CJRB booth at Blade Show 2023 with one of our favorite, most energetic people, Russell.
What's up, man?
How are you?
Energetic as always, I think. I hope, maybe, possibly.
Yeah, you're okay.
Attempting.
You're good. We're here. We've got some new stuff to take a look at.
Cool.
It's on the table in front of us, and I'm just going to kind of let you run away with it.
All right, cool. So we're going to start with some of our show specials for this year. We released the Echo, I think maybe like a month or two ago. One of our newest designs was really the Conoco, and it just took off.
Yeah.
On the CJRB side, it has that great price point. We did the all steel version, we did some micarta and carbon fiber versions. But for Blade Show, we decided to do a full tie version. Tie scales, tie clip, black hardware, RPM 9 blade coming in, show price about $100. It is a bit of a showstopper. That is a little hard to find when you get all the bells and whistles with something like this.
Yeah, it's a great platform. We've had a Knife Center exclusive with our titanium bolster.
I bought one of those outright. That thing is so good. Oh, it's so nice.
I loved how those and our pyrite version, the same kind of makeups have turned out. We are going to be doing several versions of those coming up as well with different handle inlays on those. So keep looking for those. And for these show specials, whatever's left at the end of the weekend should be filtering out to dealers. I hope we get some of them too, because this is a great knife.
Just to get tie is nice, but I get, like, you know, everyone has a little bit of tie, but to have the flat tie scales, that we're able to cut the cost down a little bit to make sure this is accessible, and there are not that many tie knives at $100 price range. We're really happy to get this one out like this because it does give you that premium feel without that really rough price point.
Right. You get the niceness of those more expensive knives without necessarily as much edge retention as some of those, but still very capable edge retention. So it brings it to a pretty nice cross section, I would say. Yeah, no, it's good stuff.
So that one is the Conoco Echo. Next, this one you like so much.
I like this one a lot.
Okay, I like this one too. So it's been a lot of fun working with Mike Snowdy. The guy is fantastic. He's tons of fun to chat with, and the accelerator has done really well for us already with the micarta version. But we really want to do a frame lock, so we decided to go all in and do a tie frame lock in S90D with the frag finish. We kept the brass pivot collar, brass backspacer, and the clip with his logo on it, which I think is the classiest thing. This thing is just so nice. It's also surprisingly light. I mean, relatively light.
Relative to its size, I mean, we're dealing with a 4-inch blade. Lightness aside, the balance, I think, is even a more important thing.
Yes.
And you're going to hold it right here.
The grip.
And that balance point
right
is
there.
Right there.
Just right below the pivot. But that grip on there. I mean, for your hands, I got the small hands. You got the slightly above average.
Larger than average.
Slightly larger than average hands.
Yep.
But I love that because that really gives you that locked-in grip in that pinky position.
Yes.
And this in reverse grip is actually really nice too.
Yeah.
Mike really is like, he always shows us off in reverse grip, and with that, the way it sits in hand, it's so nice. But just having the premium materials on there, having that S90 on there with full tie, just so good.
It's such a nice thing.
Sorry.
You want a drink of water?
I'm good. George is just trying to kill me.
Okay, that's all good.
So that is available.
I got something to say on it. I just wanted to make sure you had a chance to recover if you need to. Yeah, no, it's great. The cool, like, you've got such this great broad blade on it. The handle seems like it's going to be too skinny. Just if you're looking at a photo, it's like, oh, big blade, why such a skinny handle? But it's not.
It fits.
To your point, it really locks in nicely. If you want one with a little more grip, the micarta versions are a little thicker and have a little bit more. But even on this one, it's great.
Can we just say tie S90? We're finally getting around to getting some S90 stuff done, and we're really happy with the way it's turning out. It has been very nice to finally get that in.
Yeah. And
just like step up from that S35 game a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic.
So good.
Love it.
Good. So excellent. I'm stoked about that. That one is available for the show, and I guess there might be some going back with you. Yep.
We're already working on that.
All right, and now we have the full dress pyrite. We have so many versions of the pyrite, so many, and they keep selling. They keep moving. So for Blade West last year, we did an inset version with micarta and S35. So we decided this time, it's like, all right, let's use that same format of full CNC titanium to do a little bit of that gold flake carbon fiber. And we are doing our VG10 Core Damascus on this one, black studs. And this is just the dressiest piece we've done so far. It's the bougie model.
The bougie model, indeed. Yeah, same great pyrite action. You've got that going on. Just, if you need a pocket knife, this is the blade you want.
It's just right.
It's not too thick. It's slicey. It is a shape that's going to handle just about any daily cutting task you can imagine. Money. That's the thing.
It's done and done. Just like it is just right.
Yes.
That or the Wharncliffe version, which I'm a fan of. I'm even like.
Which you can see back here behind me, actually.
The air conditioning's fighting us. I mean, for me, we also have the Wharncliffe ones, which are going to be, they're out. They're doing well. I think you guys have already probably sold out of them.
A little bit, and we may have already asked for an exclusive version. So.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Actually, I can't remember. I know we have drop points and echoes coming.
If you haven't, you should get on that. You really should. So that
Very
one,
cool.
That one is not necessarily a show special, but we do have them here at the show, and they are available to dealers. So if you go and get on that, we can get those to you as well.
Excellent.
All right. So, shall we move on to the actual protos of the year?
We shall.
All right, let's go. So, this is not necessarily a new proto, but it is a modified proto from SHOT Show. This is the Fair & Forge Trux, TRUX. And originally, the blade shape was a little bit different, had much more pronounced point to it. We've changed this to have a bit more of that kind of, I'm going to say...
A bit more of that Fair & Forge belly.
Mordax-esque, yeah. It's, again, a werewolf Mordax. But with that blade, you get a lot more cutting. I just looking at this versus the last one, it just feels like there's more substance to this blade. I really do like how contoured this is. I know it looks like it's a very smooth knife in the hand, but with the way that handle is and that little tail bit right there, it sits in the hand very nicely.
Yeah, you've got that flat section here, but the edge is lower and just eases into it so nicely. You get that contoured feel without having to do a full contour.
You do get some corners on it, and it's, again, that grip is wonderful.
Feels good.
It's a beastly blade too. Like that's got some power to it.
Yeah.
And for it being fairly thin and light, like again, light is relative for something this big, but it's thin.
Yeah.
Fair & Forge nails it. They really have just a good eye for these particular designs, and it's like it's so good and yet so distinctively traditional Fair & Forge.
Yeah, and like I said, like the blade shape even reinforces that. Reverse flicks, great. Yeah. Very cool.
So nice.
Did you mention a name on this? I'm sorry.
That's the Trux, TRUX.
Oh yes, you did. Yeah. Sorry about that.
I was gonna transition to the next Fair & Forge. Let's move over to one of my favorites for the show. This is the BOA, and this is actually by a fresh designer in the industry. This is by Jonathan Shaw of Triple Stripe Knives, and I am in love with this thing. I love how this is probably one of the. I love this like very fidgety option. You have the hole, you have the studs, you have the front flipper. This has some really nice inset carbon fiber. We may switch over to micarta, depending on what Jonathan wants. Has this kind of like custom styled clip. And just with the way this sits, it's got a fairly small profile in pocket, but in hand, it feels like a full-size knife. You get a great blade shape on that one, and I'm enamored with how well this thing works.
Yeah. Well, the action is nice and snappy.
I mentioned Jonathan is 17.
You did not.
He is a 17-year-old knife maker, and man, that kid's got some chops. Also, our first international designer. He is like 20 minutes away from the American border in Canada.
Hey, there you go.
It's our first international designer. Coming from the Great North.
The little point here, not quite a harpoon point because of how far it comes back, but that works well. That little thumb action.
See, that's what I do the finger up position on that one.
Yeah.
Having that like leading cut for tape and box, where I want to control the tip. I like that a lot. It's not something that really gets in the way either, because you put your thumb up on there, it's nice.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to, it's not going to like lock you in.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Can you just take a close look at those scales? Like, look how those are set in there. They're so pretty.
Yeah.
Look, it's so clean. It's so nice. We are probably going to add a little bit of a cutout on the opposite side to kind of make it a bit easier to get the liner. But other than that, this came out just so good.
And it has a top style front flipper, which means I might actually be able to front flip the thing.
It's got all the flips, all the action, all the options. It's fidgety, it's fun, it's functional.
Yeah.
And I love the way this, just like, it's just a really freaking cool knife.
Yeah. Dig it.
Oh. All right, so from the Artisan line, now we move on to the CJRB stuff, which we are still doing wonderfully on all our button locks. Those are all doing great, but we figured, hey, what's one more? So if you can't tell, that's another Fair & Forge. It's our first collaboration with Fair & Forge on the CJRB side. This is the Space Cowboy. Because, Ellie just really likes Cowboy Bebop, and I can't argue. That's a great show. So this is actually modeled after the Scepter, which was a custom they did a while ago, and we added the button lock. It's also a little bit thinner, but I really like this blade. It's a straight 3-inch blade. It's got that distinctive flipper on there. We put a smaller clip on here just to kind of like lower the profile a bit, because it is meant to be a smaller, more comfortable knife, but in hand, it's a pretty strictly 3-finger knife, but you have that choil, so you can actually kind of choke up a bit more.
Yeah. I mean, even the 3-finger grip doesn't feel like you don't have enough to hold on to. in that 3-finger grip. Kind of my
Right.
pinky's touching the back just barely.
Try getting your finger up in the choil and see how that feels.
Not too bad. I do have big fingers as well, so it's
We're
a
gonna open
tiny
up
bit
a-
small for me.
We're gonna open up
but-
a tab, but it does kind of it gives you some paring knife vibes, like something very like close and kind of like turn cutting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Specifically, yeah, for sure.
And that,
And much like the pyrite, you've got a nice thin, high flat grind profile for just good old pocket knife usage.
general purpose. It's
Yeah.
a bit more leafy, but again,
Yeah.
it's got that Ferrum Forge styling to it, that pronounced flipper, and I do like that this really does carry that kind of same language. Ooh.
Almost dropped it there.
Ooh, it's
Apologies.
okay. You didn't. It only would have gotten my leg a little bit. Only that artery right there, just a bit. So I'm
Yeah.
into this. And Space Cowboy, how can you not love that?
That's a great name.
I love
you gotta,
it.
You
I
gotta
love
love it for sure. All right.
So let's go the other end of the spectrum for something a little bit different. Hey, it's time for big knives again. So we have another design by Dirk Pinkerton, and I know everyone remembers the Proponent. That's kind of the one that got us, really in the door. But the last designs Dirk has done from there, the Arroyo and the Ruffian and the Tacit, have all been much thinner, lighter knives. But I asked him, it's like, hey Dirk, maybe it's time to do something bigger. Do you have a design that's, a little bit on the bigger side, more robust, more kind of like outdoor, harder use? He's like, I got you. This is the Resource. I'll let you play with
That's
that.
a great name, actually.
It is. Just to get the feel of that, because that thing is a hand-filling beast.
Indeed.
Since it's on the CJRB side, we're also trying to aim for that under $100 price point. So well under 100, hopefully under 80. So, but just with the mass of this knife, it is something else. I love that fuller. It gives you a lot of opening options. We're debating on actually removing the stump stud entirely to make it a strictly fuller opener, because it's big enough for it to work. You can flick it, you can use a thumb roll, you can do a pinch, and the studs are great. So we're talking with Dirk about that. We're going to add some jimping, but the handles got me on this because it has that little bit of step jimping on there, or step to a step milling.
Stepping?
Step. I'm not going to make that joke, but but the feel that it really gives you a little extra grip in hand, and this is sort of, I'm not going to say it's a fixed blade replacement because it is a folder. It doesn't.
Yeah.
You can't quite do that.
It could be your hard use outdoor fixed blade complement.
Yeah. It's
perhaps.
something that you want to do some bigger tasks, you want a longer blade with more robustness. This fits the bill really well. And at the price point we're going to be aiming at, it can do those things without
breaking the bank. I'll tell you what, like just personally, I like the thumb studs here, given that mission of the knife. If you're doing heavy work, you're doing outdoor work, if you're wearing a pair of work gloves, those thumb studs are going to be easier to hit, I think, than the fuller. So I would vote keeping the thumb studs, but
we'll chat with Dirk about it. I think
your guys' choice, of course.
we might do some alterations to the shape of it to make it a bit more of a chunky stud, kind of bring it up a little bit and make it more like robust. But we shall see. But so far, the Resource has been getting a lot of eyes, mostly because the size of this thing is just like, here, let's put it against something that's we already know is pretty big.
Yes.
It's kind of got a similar profile of this guy, and it's still got more thick, just like turn sideways, so we can, it's a thick stock knife.
Yep, and bigger space to hold on to in a way as well without choking up into the area.
Exactly.
I like that you can get right up to the heel on the blade there, getting in for the close work. It's one of those things, like it's almost a deceptively simple design because it does all of those little things that are sometimes hard to do in a folder.
It's that good old
those
XL
working,
hand grip.
those working traits,
And the weight of it, the balance of it. It doesn't feel it doesn't feel as big as it actually is somehow.
And that's that neutral balance. It allows you're not fighting the weight distribution of it.
Full
when you
steel
move it
scales
around.
helped on this one. If we did an inset version of this guy, I think that would just be way too blade heavy. But this guy is doing it. It's really doing it.
I dig it.
All right, and let's move on to the one. I'm sure everyone's already seen this one around, but we are getting really close to getting these out, as in like weeks.
Excellent.
Large pyrite.
Big old pyrite.
Something about special editions. Yeah. Hey, just play with that. Just play with it. I brought two, so we can both play.
We can both play at the same time.
Yeah, what can I say other than, it's the same pyrite, just a little bigger. Adds a little extra length, a little extra, it's actually no thicker. It's got the same dimensions, it's just longer. And for someone who just feels the pyrite's a little too small, just not quite right, this is just enough. Or if you just want a bit more blade, this does it.
And with this one, the space here for the choke up, not a full size choil, but it makes even more sense on the bigger bit. Makes even more sense on the bigger blade. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Deep carry, reversible.
Tried and true formula after only 1 year. It's like, I'll take it. But I will say,
you guys had a hit on your hands immediately.
Play with the steel one.
When you got him out.
I kind of like the steel one. I know this one makes sense with the G10 and the milled out liners because it's relatively light for its size. But the substance of that one really kind of talks to me.
You got the more stable feel, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah.
They're both wonderful, and I'm very excited to see these come out very soon.
Very, very cool.
So the large pyrite.
Excellent. All right, Russell, that's all he has to show us today.
Smaller line than usual, but we wanted to kind of dial in on the button locks.
Yeah.
Want to get our stuff really we're focusing on quality over quantity, and as of the last few years, we've tried to kind of step down the amount and work on making the best designs possible.
Well, there's definitely some good stuff to look forward to here, for sure. I see some good stuff I like, for sure. Russell, thank you.
Thank you again.
Very much for your time.
Always good to see you.
Make sure to keep an eye on the YouTube channel, our social media, and of course, the Artisan and CJRB pages on KnifeCenter.com. You'll see announcements there when this stuff starts to come out. Make sure to check out all the rest of our Blade Show coverage as well. Thanks, everyone.